Hey, what's going on tonight? Welcome. Welcome, Pudgy. Dimitri, Ron Stuff. Was talking about just getting off a brewery ride and some fall plans. I've never, I don't know if fall has ever hit like exactly on the date that it is supposed to like this. Yesterday, me, Ben, and Brad were riding up uh, gravel climb, sweating like absolute crazy. Mid 80s still at like or probably low 80s by then, but mid 80s during the day, like 80 at like 7 o'clock at night. And today it's chilly and it was rainy and it just like felt instantly like fall on the first day of fall. So, um, yeah, our little robot guy is says he's in here, but he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So, Large Marge, what's up? Diversity Love was saying that he saw a really cool guy build a bike camper for a Z bike. I don't think you can post links in the live chat because it's just because of spammers, like it's blocked. But Discord just takes a password, a name, and an email address and a password. You don't even need the app. You can just go to the website. Uh, what's up, Raymond? How you doing? Sam Diaz. What up, Pudgy? Yeah, I couldn't for some reason. I like made the live stream setup and then I YouTube wouldn't let me see it myself. A couple other things, and if you guys start one other thing with YouTube today that was strange, all of a sudden it showed me a bunch of comments from months ago that I had never seen. I know Pudgy, I responded to one of yours on a video. There was one from Summit Perry on a video from like 3 months ago. So I don't know. And Lanky Cyclist said the same thing happened to him. So I don't know if they were caught in their spam filter and then they undid it or whatever. But that was kind of weird. But yeah, so if you got a reply to a comment from me that you wondered why I never had seen before. I don't have the answer, but it showed up today. So, uh, E-Bike Dave, Chris McCowan, Whiskey Six, how's it going? I think since my last stream, I met Whiskey Six for the first time. Yeah, so at Bike Party last Friday, right as we were leaving Missing Falls after the bike party and the after party, um, met him right before we were rolling out and got a chat for a minute. So, what's up, Yonda? Oh, Dimitri, you're showing 50 now. Yeah, I tried to go for a walk right when the sun was setting because it cleared up right as like sunset around here, and it was chilly. As you could see, I've got like the quilted flannel on. I also switched to you know, fall bandana, but jeans and everything. So yeah, what a dramatic change. And like I said, right on the first day of fall. But what's up, Dylan? What's up, Farley? What did Dimitri? You said you found comments that don't show up in the not responded section, but they are there and you've never seen them, huh? Yeah, I always just that filter is pretty much always on for me. Like comments I haven't responded to, that's how I have it set by default because that's what I want to see. YouTube's other annoying quirk, if you guys don't know, is um, I don't get notifications in YouTube Studio, which is the back end which you run YouTube channels from, when people reply to me. I only get those as push notifications through my phone. So that's a little frustrating too. So I'll see that maybe during the day when I'm out riding my bike or I'm out on a photo shoot. But if I don't remember, like I literally have to remember that someone had responded back. So to have a conversation could be kind of a pain sometimes. So I'm almost never ignoring anyone who's writing like anything reasonably, you know, interesting or intelligent or has a good question and responds to one of my questions. It just that's one of YouTube's weaknesses. And like I've said before, I had to turn off the email notifications because now, like, not like trying to be like a flex, but it's just annoying. I need to keep my email clean for my work and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, some of that boring stuff out of the way. But yeah. Oh, Pudgy, you said 510 shoes were on sale with Q this week. Nice. Almost time to start wearing socks again. You go triathlete style, but never pants. Flex water. Well, it's funny. I had all the YouTube like email notifications on because, I mean, for 10 years, like I would get like a comment once a month, so it was no big deal to get an email when there's a comment. But it is the point you post a new video, and it's just you can't get inundated with like email notifications. But pants are only sub 30s. Yeah, I was thinking of that with the autumn riding, like fall riding, and the temperature dropping. Besides, obviously changing what you're wearing, I was trying to think like, obviously when winter hits and late fall could be winterish, here in Northeast Ohio, even mid fall, you never know. October, we could get some snowy days. Besides changing what you wear and perhaps like thinking about your winter bike, is there anything particular to autumn that you guys do? One thing I know, like when we do our Wednesday night rides, since we're still leaving a lot, until the time change when the sun's up, and then say we ride somewhere, go in a restaurant or a bar, and come out, it's like you have to have like that second set of like clothes to put on. Is the only thing I noticed is now I almost always ride with a decent sized bag, but that's like a must now because the extra layers for when you come out. Also, I usually put, since I have the Brooks, I usually put my saddle covers on this time of year when we go in somewhere in the evening because you'll come out and your bike will actually be wet from the dew point and the temperature dropping, over like an hour or something like that. I know the first couple times it always gets me. You're just like, you've just been riding and say it's high 60s and you come out and it's 50s. It just, I know we've talked about this on the channel before, both springtime and fall, but how your body adjusts, and before it does adjust, how like 50s will feel cold for a while, but again they feel like shorts weather in the spring. But yeah, I was just wondering if anyone does anything, like is there anything you do for if you're in like a region that has four seasons, as the temperature just changes like kind of slightly and the days get shorter? Raymond said you almost put a windbreaker on for tonight's ride. I think I would have been wearing long sleeves if I rode today. Today's the first day I didn't ride since I got back from the Route 66 trip. It was drizzly all day, and I just had a bunch of stuff I wanted to get done, and I was like, today's a good day to take off. And then we also did a couple pretty gnarly gravel climbs last night, and with my sciatica, my figured it was a good day to just kind of not get on the bike. But Sam, you said you drink more beer in the fall. I think that would have been true for me traditionally, but I drink a lot of beer this summer. It's one of the reasons I've been cutting back as we've been moving into fall. I'm actually again drinking like the last stream some kava root that I made. I guess you would call it a tea because I don't know, it's a root and you're mixing it in water. I put some local honey and some cinnamon in here, but it doesn't really dissolve, which is kind of weird. So I always keep a spoon to keep like remixing it. But when I made it more the traditional way when I was in my 20s, and you like really do like knead it through like a some kind of filter, like almost like cheesecloth or mesh. That I didn't find that was the thing, but with this stuff that's already like ground up, it just kind of settles out if you don't mix it. Oh, two of you guys said Chris and Pudgy charge electronics more often. That's for sure. Not only do they die quicker because of the weather, but they just die quicker because you're using more power. You have your headlights on longer. If you use a bike computer, the backlight is going to come on quicker. So yeah, I do notice that too. Farley, you said you're switching to a C17 for fall winter. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Packable puffy vest. Yeah, I don't have a puffy vest. Um, Definitely last winter was the first winter I had like a down, and not an expensive one, but a down jacket. Still got fruit flies in here. Hopefully the cold will kill them. But yeah, and carrying that is great for like when you stop, or you know, especially when because last winter was still being more cautious pandemic wise for still sitting outside on chilly nights that might not be really cold. A vest would be a good idea. Yeah. This one, I'm going to show it in a video, not like not do a full video review on it, but a company did send me a down blanket, a quilt, and that's only like $70 on Amazon compared to like I bought a Rumple for actual bike camping, so it's like what a third the cost of that. And it packs down really small. But it also has some buttons so you could kind of wear it like over you. I was wondering if I'd carry that this winter, or even fall. Something to throw over would be kind of nice. Hey, what's up, Rick? How you doing? It's funny you said that, Sam. Is this mud water? Because some people say kava root tastes like dirt. I actually kind of like the flavor, but it actually tingles. It's really strange. Yeah, there's nothing else really like it. But the honey and the cinnamon do give it a little more flavor. I guess in kava bars they make kind of like mocktails and mix kava in with it. But I've never been to one or looked at a menu for one. It's just something I read. There are four seasons for beer. Yeah. Packable puffy beer gut. 650B kava tea. Yeah. Oh, diversity. You said for winter you have rechargeable long johns? Rechargeable long johns? With Bluetooth phone controller? Short wool coat, wool hat, and boots up to your thighs. Huh. I've been getting more and more like building up like the wool repertoire, but like with wool, you wear it out too, unfortunately. But mostly like the base layers and stuff like that. A hood with a face shield. I've talked about this in my winter riding videos before. Like, I really don't wear anything on my face except glasses in the winter when it's really cold. I just don't. My face will feel cold when I first start out, but it warms up pretty quick. I mean, I'll cover my neck, but I never ride with a face cover. Um, and again, like I say, like the coldest I ever really spend a lot of time on my bike is just a little bit under 20 degrees. So depending on where you are, I think I would probably need something much cold. I would probably need that kind of stuff, if I lived a little farther north. Yonda said fat bikes are in, so you have to deal with are these hard to ride comments. So you hate people the most in the fall, Yonda. Oh, Rick said thermos of hot beverage. That's something I never do, and I know even the pros do it on cold, like race days and stuff like that. It's a good idea. Oh, you're right. I do have a vest large. Would you consider that a puffy vest, though? Like, when I think of a puffy vest, I either think of down or synthetic down. I guess that one's a lot thinner, but yeah, I guess technically, you know. You're right, large. I do have a vest that I wear all the time. I picture like the down ones or the synthetic ones that look like down, with that quilted camp like sleeping bag material feel. But I don't know what I guess I don't know technically what constitutes the puffy category. Yeah, Sam Diaz, you said gloves for sure. Yeah, I start carrying like at first just my wool defeat gloves. I'll start carrying those all the time with me now. Um, Even if I start with them on and take them off. That's true. I didn't think about that. The thermos thing is a good idea. I don't I've never carried like an insulated thermos and thought about drinking something warm. Oh, diversity. You've had kava? Have I tried yerba mate? No, I haven't. Um, oh, Ron stuff. How's it going? You said you guys got 50s tonight, drank some wine, and ate a shitload of your kids' Oreos. Yeah. Budgie switches from thongs to wool granny panties. Beards are free face covers. Yeah, and I'm not that I shave a ton anyways, but I do tend to let it grow a lot more in the winter. Uh, hey, what's up, Lanky? How you doing? Brad's mom is a free face cover. Got him. Oh, you pronounce yerba mate. Yerba mate. Yerba mate. Yerba mate. That word is familiar to me. I'll have to look it up. I should write it down. But As I mentioned, whatever did we do the last stream a week ago Tuesday, kava is uh, like how it is for like with marijuana for a lot of people. You have to almost build up the pathways to the receptors in your brain. So I've actually had no effect from it yet. This is like the fifth night I've drank it. So we'll see. But yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this earlier. Over the fall has always been my favorite season. I just like you know, I kind of like that crispness. I've always liked all the fall stuff, the leaves, the typical stuff, fall decorations like apples, whatever. Think of any generic fall thing. I'm all about it. Just like that Onion article they post every year. But then, you know, more and more I've just started to just like summer because summer means you just have a long time of nice weather before, winter. As I've grown to like winter less and less. Like I said, I always try to make the best of it. I still try to ride my bike. I still try not to be too negative, but the dark days and sometimes the really really cold weather just wear on me. But yeah, this summer though was the first summer in a while where the heat almost started to get to me because I'm not like the heat doesn't bother me that much. And when I'm riding my bike in the woods with the breeze or even out in the sun, you're creating enough of a breeze when you're riding your bike. It just really doesn't bother me. I know it gets to like funny Brad and Pudgy, you're not a huge like dead on summer fan, right? But yeah, so summer had been my favorite for a while, but this year we had a streak of just really, really hot and humid weather that almost did start to get to me after a while. So overall, I still late summer, early fall is probably still my favorite time of year. But pumpkin spice, yeah, I. It's interesting. Like I like to bake with pumpkin and cinnamon, nutmeg, and all that stuff. Make like stuff, and I like ciders but like with pumpkin beers, I like them when the spice is very subtle and they've actually used pumpkin to increase the body. Uh, I think the fact that the last few years pumpkin stouts have become more of a thing makes more sense. Pumpkin in itself, as you know, doesn't have a lot of flavor. That's why it's just pumpkin spice is what has the flavor to people. But I don't like overly spiced stuff, so it has to be done right. I definitely like if I go to a new brewery and they have a pumpkin beer, I'll ask for a taste of it before, and if it's like, you know, if it's too strong, I won't get it. But I also like, which flavor wise don't really have anything. They just historically have to do with fall Oktoberfest beers, which are just lagers that were lagered all summer long and stuff like that, and we're ready in the fall. But I really like Mars, Oktoberfest. The actual style is called a Marzen. I really like those beers, but again, they don't really, in the modern sense, don't taste like what people think of about fall. So, Pudgy, you said your local good beer spot is officially full of pumpkin beer. I get really annoyed with the people not like with the breweries and everybody. Not it's not just breweries. It's anything seasonal. Like just not waiting for the season. It's like August now, and you'll see like pumpkin stuff, everything. And then in October, everything will be like Christmas stuff. It's like, can't we have stuff in the season? Like, that'd be the same thing when I worked at Soleil's. We'd start picking sweet corn, and people would be like, when are the pumpkins going to be in? It's like, it's sweet corn season. It's hot outside. It's a lemonade and sweet corn season. Like, pumpkins will be here when the temperature drops. Also, if you buy a pumpkin now, it will rot because they're vegetables. Like people don't like understand that. Like it's like you can't keep a squash on your porch. People would buy them. Like we started getting them early and earlier because why wouldn't you sell them if people wanted them? Put out like one wagon load, and then people would come back and they'd be like, "My pumpkin rotted," and we'd be like, "Did you put it on your porch in 80-degree sunlight for a week? Like, what would happen if you did that from any of the produce you keep in your fridge? So, anyways, oh, Ron Stuff said Bought some military surplus East Germany 1980s wool horse riding pants, something Teddy Roosevelt would wear. Widen the thighs, narrow at the calves to miss the chain. Nice. So the first, I've talked about this before, I believe, on the channel, but I know with my friend Kenny, who was in the military, Kenny Missing Falls Kenny. But my brother gave me some long johns when he was in the military, and I was much younger. I still have the top actually. I haven't worn it out yet somehow, but I didn't even realize at the time they were wool or what wool was. I was still wearing all cotton back then and all that stupid stuff. Especially stupid because we worked at car washes and everyone wore cotton stuff. But I didn't understand why I liked it so much better. You know, like I noticed the little thing that you didn't need to wash it as much, but like I didn't know all the properties of wool back then, and so I just had them, and it was always my favorite set of long johns. Period. And now it's obviously now I try to get as much of it as I can afford, and less of the synthetic stuff. There is good synthetic stuff though. I do have a lot of tights, like fleece line tights I wear when I ride in the winter. It's just I wear, and I've talked about this too, I wear tights all winter. Once the temperature drops, I wear them everywhere. Like, I wear them to the grocery store underneath my jeans. I wear them under dress pants to a funeral or a wedding. I never don't have them, so I have to have a ton of pairs. It's basically my winter underwear. Yeah. Whiskey 6, dark at 4:30 is the worst part of Northeast Ohio. Yeah. Yeah, after daylight savings time, and that's the worst thing to me. Especially when I had like normal day jobs, like working at the car wash, or when I worked at a fire sprinkler systems company and getting out of work and it was already dark. Like that was just so depressing. Good thing is now I have enough flexibility being a photographer that if I don't have a shoot on the day, sometimes I'll go ride midday, and then in the winter I feel like I just work all night because why not? It's dark out. Wide in the thighs and reptilian the calves is more Brad style, but teach their own. Oh, Ron, you said $4 for a pair. Nice. Yonda's saying there isn't one sunset in Ohio at 4:30. Man, it's got to be close, Yonda. I think you're talking semantics here. The sun sets before 5 o'clock in the winter. I have to guarantee it. Someone else could pull up the almanac. I don't feel like trying to search that right now, but someone else pull it up. But I guarantee we have sunsets close to 4:30 in the winter. Well, all we'd have to do is look up December 21st, right? Isn't that the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, right? What? Yeah, I guess I could do that. What time does the sun set in Akron on December 21? Don't give me the time for September. I know months. I gotta give it to Yandy. He's right. I guess the sun stays so low in the sky, though. So it's really good for photography because it feels like the sun sets for like almost all day in the winter, but like 3 hours at the end of the day. So yeah, the shortest day of the year, our earliest sunset. Yeah, sunrise at 7:50, sunset at 5:05. But depending on where you live, the sun is going to be behind the tree line at 4 o'clock. So you're right, Yonda, but on technicality, but it sure feels dark by 4:30 on those days. Oh, shortest day is an earliest sunset. Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, Lanky's saying 12/7 is the earliest sunset. So 4:58. Okay. Okay, on yeah, December 1st it's 4:50. Why it's not showing me the dates I'm putting up here. Show me all of them. Here we go. Yeah, for a bunch of days in mid-December it's 4:57, 4:58. Raymond, good point. Difference doesn't make it start early. 5 o'clock, 4:30. I don't think anyone likes it. So it's funny. 4:30 though. Who said it? 4:30 is the number that's in my mind for early sunset. Like I said, maybe here the sun's behind the trees, behind the houses, behind the that I have in the alley behind the studio. So it's probably always felt like that to me. Jay Dandy, what's up? This is almost as good as maps. What was Cosman? You said PBE is your favorite part of fall cycling season? PBE. I'm drawing a blank on what that stands for. Someone has to tell me. Confidence likes it. Speaking of that, did you guys? I'm kind of excited. I always really like watching the World Championships, which I are in Australia this year. So I believe the men's race will actually be at 8 o'clock our time. Purebred elements. Yonda said maybe at Rehoboth it sets at 4:30. That's what this stream is based on. So peanut butter eggplant says Matt 2.0. I'm usually good at when someone puts an acronym I don't know making up something, but I'm drawing a blank on PBE. Oh, speaking another thing about fall riding, um, Ron Romance did post that Nutmeg's registration will open on Saturday, this Saturday. So if anyone was trying to go to Nutmeg in East Haddam, Connecticut, that'll be up to sign up for this weekend. But he still hasn't announced any details. He said he was holding back on opening registration until there were details. So we'll have to see if he does that tomorrow. That would have to be tomorrow where you drop the details. But traveling through, what's up? He says Paps Blue Eben. Where are you at traveling through? I mean, I know roughly where you're at, but God, Philly Bike Expo, huh? Rick, is Rick not in here? I feel like he should have known that. What is the date of Philly Bike Expo? That'd be really fun to make it out to. I mean, oh, I think the problem with Philly Bike Expo is isn't that just the week after Nutmeg? And I think I always have the Halloween charity ball. Well, they're not doing that anymore, but the replacement for the Halloween charity ball is something I photograph every year for my friend Jetta. So that's I think why when I've been aware of it the last few years, I can't pull it off. Diversity said, "You're new to cycling. You were dancing for exercise, but moved away from everything." Oh, huh. Yonda, are you saying the Philly Bike Expo has been canceled? Traveling through, you're in Brooklyn. You're done with the Great Divide? That's got to be a complete change of pace from where you've been. The videos have been beautiful. Again, if you guys don't follow Traveling Through, you should. Oh, you posted a. Oh, Traveling Through, you just posted a video 1 hour ago. Nice. I'll check that out after the stream tonight. That's a link to Traveling Through's channel right there. Yep. Philly Bike Expo is on the 29th. That is the exact day I have a shoot. And then the next day is Joy Machines, the bike shop up in Cleveland. They host their Heck of the North cyclocross race, which I like going to. So I'm always at that event in the evening, and then Heck of the North the next day. And we've been in, last year was the first time, but we all took off time to go to Nutmeg too. So won't be able to swing that until you guys make me YouTube famous enough that I don't have to work a normal job. Not that I work a normal job anyways, but oh, okay, good. I'm glad to hear Traveling Through that you finished the ride. I was worried that you had, but again, I know YouTube videos come out after the fact, but I was worried you didn't make it or something. So Traveling Through did 37 days, 2,620 miles. Man, and I bet the elevation was probably pretty insane as well, huh? Yeah, Rick, we were talking about the Philly Bike Expo is the 29th and 30th, and I was saying I'd love to go before I remembered that those are two dates that I'm always busy. So, oh yeah, well I'm thinking about it because I just looked at it. I did end up picking up the new GoPro. The only difference you could tell from the outside is the 11 instead of the 10, but I've only rode with it once, and I filmed a members video on Monday that hopefully I'll get to edit and put out tomorrow, just like a first impressions and a what's up about it. But yeah, the last video I posted, the coffee ride, was the Hero 10, so pretty much it should be any footage you see going forward will be from the 11, but they're pretty similar. Couple features that I'm excited about on this, but I wouldn't if I didn't use these like almost every day, I would not have upgraded for this one. I would have skipped this upgrade, but I kind of like the idea of having the 11 and the 10 as a backup because the 9 is fairly glitchy, and when I do like the gravel badasses with the 9 on the front for my so I could cut to something, I'm always worried I'm going to have a problem with it, even though thank God during the 6 gravel badass episodes I didn't. So yeah, it'll be interested to try some of the vertical video out of this since this has a taller sensor, so you could pull. I was making a YouTube short earlier out of the coffee roasters ride, but I have to like really, change things more than I will with this. So we'll see. Then also some of the stabilization features are a little better, and then the 10-bit for color grading. Those are kind of the three things that I think are going to be a plus with this one. Horizon leveling in more modes. The members video, guys, for you or members, it'll be funny because I think I messed up a lot of the settings. So when I get it on the computer and edit it, I think we'll see like formats changing and stuff like that, which I think is kind of part of the fun of just trying something for the first time instead of setting it all up before you take it out the door. Oh, Rick, you said they finally reopened the closed bridges through the park that we rode. Nice. Does GoPro still do the trade up thing? I'm not sure they do, Pudgy, because you used to be able to send them any camera. That was what more than worth more than $200, and they would give you money off. But now they want to get you to sign up for that cloud so much. I think that's the only discount they do. Don't quote me on that, but I think the new GoPro's 500. If you sign up for their cloud service, it's 400, and they're hoping that you forget to cancel it after a year. But since I upgrade the GoPro every year, I always get the discount and have the service. But yeah, going up from the 5 to the 11 would be massive because the 5 stabilization is like nothing compared. Yeah. Oh, Jay Dandy, you missed us at the ACR ride. Did you try and get there and you were like 8 minutes late? Or like literally you were going to take a bus out? I assume you meant you just missed getting there. The ACR ride was great. For all the last minute tinkering and trying to get plans together we did, like Albert and his team just knocked it out of the park. The stops were really good. You know, like sandwiches, fresh baked breakfast, coffee, bunch of beer if you wanted it. So yeah, it was great ride, really good route. So oh yeah, 5 doesn't even have stabilization, does it? 5 is the first one I ever bought, and I thought it had like some low level something, but yeah, when I go back and watch the early riding videos, they're like hard to watch now from when I used to use the 5. So yeah, it was this maybe the 6 was the first one where they put something in there, but I think I went from the 5 to the did I get I think I went from the 5 to the 8, and then I've had them all, or it's maybe the 7, and I've had them all since. Cosman, you asked if I ever crossed path with railroad employees. No, we've never. Well, I wouldn't say I've never crossed paths with railroad employees. They've always been maintenance employees, and they haven't said anything to us, or they've even waved. Police, though, have told us not to go on to like the gravel path next to railroad tracks because it is private property. So, a number of times, even one time Dylan was up here and he got yelled at by a cop when we were riding on the railroad tracks. And that was funny because that was in a spot where no one ever worries about it. It's a short cut through right by the bike shop. They actually use it as their like gravel test track when they got people want to try out a mountain bike or a gravel bike. So oh, Pudgy used the 5 scuba diving. Yeah, I think swimming underwater it wouldn't be so shaky. Cycling is another story, obviously. Oh, Chris, I missed your comment about the jump cut video. I'll be interested. I'll after tomorrow's registration, if it sells out, I'll post something in the Discord to see if anyone else is to jump back to Nutmeg is going to go this year because a bunch of people met after Nutmeg that are now friends of the channel or were friends on Instagram or somewhere else. So. Oh, Jay Dandy, you said you rode to the ACR ride, but you were a little late and didn't know the route. Huh. Too bad. I wish you could have even if you would have DM'd me on Discord. I actually do have if I'm tagged or DM'd on Discord, I actually do have push notifications on for that, so I could have let you know where we were. But Dimitri asking if the 11 uses the same media mod. Yeah, it's identical. The physical shape of this GoPro and the doors, nothing is different. Same lens. So even if you wanted oh, this one's still tight because it's new. But yeah, it's absolutely identical on the outside, Dimitri. So yeah, nothing different. The only thing they did physically different is and that's not even with the camera, but they give you the Enduro battery now. So you get the one that's supposed to, well, I've seen the tests. Everyone's posted tests actually lasts longer and it holds up better in the cold, which will be really good for this winter. And I really that's a big deal to me because I didn't want to go buy Enduro batteries when I have like 5 batteries for this for the 10 already. So yeah, so it's cool that one came in the box. Oh, I didn't even look to see if anyone had posted any drink pics. Oh, Raymond had. He's got a double. Uh, oh, Thin Man Brewery. Okay, yeah, I can't remember if it was Raymond, but other people have had that before because I remember bringing up that's me, Ben, and Aaron actually had dinner there at Thin Man Brewing. We really liked it too, the food and the beer when we were there. It's interesting with like me liking beer so much. Usually when I would see a beer pick like that, it would make me wish I had a beer. But just with a little honey in here, this is sweet enough to give me the sensation of having a drink. And I think I realized part of it is like not like I don't like to get a buzz and I really do like beer, but just having like something to drink in the evening, I think I really enjoy and I never used to do that. So oh, Dimitri, you're saying you kind of want to pick up the 11, the Media Mod, and the DJI wireless mics for video and streaming. Yeah, it's so great. It's so great for that. Streaming or making videos with audio, like Gravel Badass, but either way, yeah. And if I was going to buy one now, I wouldn't like save the $50 on the 10. I'd always get the latest. I'd get the 11. Why not get the better features for with what camera stuff costs in other regards? Like GoPros are relatively cheap. Like I mean, I know it's not, and they're super tough now. And like the 10, I've only had one glitch with the 10, and it occurs only like maybe once a month since I've had it, where I'll turn it on, and the image will be bouncing around like crazy. So something is wrong with the stabilization calibration. But I turn it off and turn it back on, and it's always been fine. So, I've missed maybe 5, 6 shots over almost a year with the 10. So, I'd say overall really solid. But were you guys yelling from the rooftops at the Akron bike party? Yes, that was me and Large and a couple other friends. It was the back of Cascade where the parking deck, like, or where that plaza wraps around over the underground parking deck. We were up there. Why were you at bike party, Jay Dandy? We went out to Magic City last Friday, and by the time we left, bike party was already gone, and we didn't have the route. So we rode around a little bit, tried to find them, and then we stopped up there and had a beer. And then our friend Tina, who was one of the gravel badasses, she had messaged us where they were. So we went out back and waited till everyone rode by and were yelling. We were totally in the dark though, so people couldn't tell who we were, which was really fun because we could see who everybody else was. So we'd be like, "Oh, there goes Brownland. What's up, Brownland? Bike party." So yeah, Pudgy. Oh, the next beer you'll have will be a Guinness from the source. That's in February for you, right? Yeah, I think Dimitri, you're right. Having that horizon lock uh, be a lot better with the 11 than it was in the 10 will be a big deal about this one. So yeah, one for like so stuff doesn't bounce around, but like even on my winter bike, the bars aren't completely flat, so it was always annoying because the camera was always slightly tilted, and now the 10 could take care of that, but with the 11 you won't have to worry about it at all. So oh, Jay Dandy, you were out there. We we then turned around and caught up to a lot of people right when they were like some people had already left, but we went to Missing Falls and hung out after bike party since we couldn't catch up on the ride. But I take it you didn't go into Missing Falls and get a drink. Oh, Jay Dandy, you said you met Bronlyn. Bronlyn said she got recognized for the Gravel Badass series, so I wonder if if you brought it up, she might have been talking about you. Diversity, you said in the evening you like passion flower tea or Jamaican ginger beer, which is actually a soda, but the ginger will knock you out. Huh. That'd be something for me to try. I don't sleep well and I have trouble falling asleep. So that was one of the thinking behind drinking kava. Guinness from the source, Baltimore. Dylan said Hope Cyclery is having an event on the 15th. I don't know anyone who's going to that because was that Hope's event that some of the Joy Machines guys went to that Ronnie was at and stuff? Yeah, that was a Hope event too. But I haven't seen the October 15th one. What is. I'm working all day on the 14th. I probably couldn't do 2 trips that close because I have with Nutmeg coming up the week after. Jay Dandy, you did acknowledge Bronman as a GBA. That's awesome. That last Hope Cycler ride was kind of cool because it looked like it was kind of a small crowd. So, like, not tiny, but it looked like it would have been fun to be at that one. Just not a huge event where you don't get to really meet the people hosting or. Do they have that on their Instagram page? Be interesting to see. Oh, is that the? Oh, here we go. Okay, I did see these posts. October 15th, 100, 69, 50, and 30-mile routes, bike parts swap, camping downtown, higher ground hundo. How far is how do you pronounce that? Is it Johnson, PA? Johnstown? Get get Jay Dandy a little excited here. Oh, 3 hours. That's not crazy. Man, I could pull that off. That would be cool to do. Are the routes mostly gravel, Dylan? You said you wish it was single track. Let's see what they. The fee for all of them is $69. Camping is $20. Does it have the? Are the routes listed anywhere that I'm not seeing here? Oh, event notes. There we go. Oh, The 100 mile is 45% gravel, and then 30, 50, and 69 are 50% gravel. 40C tires is what they're saying is the sweet spot. Johnstown. Oh yeah, the shop cat that he has over that Hope Cyclery. When that cat was a kitten, cute as can be. Oh, speaking of, did I? Okay, I was worried that I lost connection there for a second. The screen kind of flashed. No, all good. Stream is healthy. It says. Right. Yeah, what else is going on? I think I'll probably only go till 11 tonight. Famous last words. Someone will bring something up that'll get me on a rant, but I did not sleep good last night. I was in a lot of pain after our ride, so even with Advil, I was still waking up in pain. So I could feel my eyes getting pretty drowsy. But I mean, I pretty much covered everything. You know, the earliest sunset of the year. You know, what else? What else could you want? Huh. I know this event is really close to Nutmeg, but that drive isn't crazy far. I wonder if Erin would be interested in it. All I have to do is tell her this cat is there. So someone bring up Shimano versus SRAM. Anyone doing Shenanigans Cycle Fest? That's the is that the cyclocross race this weekend, Lanky? I thought I saw that on. Let's see. Yeah, September 25th. Oh, that's the. I won't be there. My buddy Carl, it's his birthday, and he does a century ride for his birthday. So that's my plan. The weather's looking, as of now, fairly iffy. We'll see. But he does it in like 3 loops, so you could like join either loop, and they all come back to his house. So you could also leave food there. So that's my plan, long as the weather isn't too bad. So sunset charts are the new maps. I don't know about that comment, Rick. You have to come out to one of the bigger events. Gravel bikes shouldn't have road gearing and a double. It depends on what you're doing. My gravel bike does a double and road gearing. Oh, Lanky, you said Shenanigans is a whole weekend. I didn't. I didn't know that. I didn't know they had a gravel event that goes along with it. I think I've only seen it through the through this calendar. So Cosmo, you said you blew up your second Bontrager hub last week. I've got two Bontrager hubs that have been on a bike since 2001 that I've ridden through the last 5 winters and I have no problems with. So I know Yonda has his strong opinions, but I also have stuff that just keeps working. So I wouldn't go out and buy cop bike parts like now, but I've got some that work really, really well. And I put the Shimano group set up on my winter bike. Group set's longevity up against almost anything. Beat the absolute hell out of it for 20 years, and it's still running. All my 9-speed Shimano stuff works like a charm. So my Marin's running 9-speed Ultegra. That must be 12, 15 years old. It's awesome. Pudgy. He's right. When he's right, he's right. I always say I'm joking. I don't own any SRAM. I've ridden bikes with SRAM. I prefer the way Shimano shifts, but I don't have personal experience on its longevity. Wouldn't some of that be hard to have? Because, I don't know, is how long has SRAM been around? I mean, you can't have SRAM that's old as Shimano because it didn't exist, right? Does Shenanigans have their own Instagram page? No, it's definitely not that. Excuse me. Shimano used to make really nice stuff. Yeah, I only have one newish Shimano group set, and it's 105, and it's 11 speed 105, and it's that's even 3 generations old, right? But I haven't had a problem with that, except that the cable routing on the front derailleur is stupid and super annoying. But that's what I have Yonda for. Yeah, so my 105 group set is FC 5700, so whatever year that is. Oh wait, is this the replacement crank or the bent? No, that's the replacement crank. So, so this is actually R7000, whatever year that is. SRAM does have inventory, so there's argument there too. What did Al ask? What type of vintage bikes make for the best gravel bikes? Al, it's oh, I lost focus. Man, the ones you could find with clearance. I mean, vintage mountain bikes are easier to turn into a gravel bike because you know you're going to have clearance. Road bikes are so hit or miss. You know, you could get one that could only clear 28s, but I built up that cheap Peugeot and I have 38s on it. So, and I think I have a 40 and a 38. Uh, so, cross bikes, maybe. I just depends how you're going to build it up. I don't think there's really a right answer to that question. but some definitely don't work. You just can't get wide enough tires on them. Like my old Schwinn Peloton, it's like a true race bike, road bike. It only clears 28s in the rear. So also finding something that had, if it's a road bike, was built with 27 wheels, because if you convert to 700C, you could usually squeeze out a little bit more clearance that way. That's worked for me on a couple bikes. But if you're just buying a frame, that's not going to help you. You won't know. Yeah, J Dandy, that's true. Mid 90s hybrid bikes, because then you have the clearance there. Plus, usually, if they had cantilever brakes, might help. So, Al said R7000 is 2018, so that's the newest group set I own is a 2018 group set, and it's the newest I own by far. So everything else is 9-speed, and then vintage stuff that's 40 years old. So, but that doesn't matter. That's down tube friction or top tube friction. So I feel like I need to make a response video to Russ's latest videos about friction shifting and all that. I mean, I agree with him obviously on running double chain rings, because I run double chain rings on almost everything, but I don't really agree with him on the friction stuff. I have friction bikes. I've friction shifted forever, but with like when I'm talking about 9-speed Shimano, like 105, how cheap you could get that stuff now. Uh, I'll run that over bar ends any day of the week. But yeah, onto that. I'm sure that's a good point, but I don't run a bike shop. SRAM won't F you over in the ass and sell their stuff on Amazon while you have back orders listed for 2024. Then again, though, I've had no. I mean, with what I've tried to buy from Shimano, I've had no problem. Like I needed this crank arm, they had it. I ordered the new chain ring for that bike, 11 speed 105, and they had it. So yeah, can always go Campanola. Yeah, you can always go campy, right? You can always go. God, man, who can afford a new campy? I mean, I have one campy group set, but it was traded for a photography job. So, what's the go-to poor guy group set now? Microshift, uh, right? Microshift makes some good stuff now, or vintage. Like I said, used. To me, used. I would. It depends on what errors you're swinging through, because there is an era where old stuff just isn't that good. But like I said, um, I think I would rather have 9-speed 105 than like the bottom of the barrel Shimano group set. Shimano makes some absolute trash at the bottom. So, or some of the Amazon Chinese stuff with no name. I'll take. I'd rather have older Shimano. I mean, I have no need for 11 speeds. If I'm getting a new group set, it's gonna be obviously 11 or 12. But like, if I have an 11 to 34 cassette on the back of something, 9-speed, that's fine with me. So, Jason, you said looking to buy some new handlebars, salsa cow chippers. Is that what Aaron's running on the crust? Someone asked me that today and I couldn't remember in one of the comments, but I am not sure. Yonda said don't ride 90s hybrids aggressively. They're not strong enough for that sort of deal. You wouldn't think so? I feel like those mid-level steel Treks were. You don't think they would hold up to riding some serious gravel? Yeah, Dragon had said can't be as like Apple. Got to buy into their whole ecosystem. That's true. Um, yeah, and you're right. And I would make that point if I made a video about friction shifting. Russ, Pathless Pedal, likes friction because of how much work he does switching parts out and trying all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, same. I'm not trying to make like a mullet setup work, with cheaper levers. That's not an issue to me. Uh, and I think that's kind of, for him to make that point, like I get it, but at the same time, like people go to that channel, me included, for like advice on stuff that is practical. And to me, that's not very practical for your average person. So, and cost. I mean, there is an idea of, like some of the some of the new stuff is just outrageously priced. So friction will save you a ton of money. I mean, I could definitely see building a bike with, friction temporarily and planning on replacing it down the road. But and again, not buying a brand new, like putting together a bike. Yonda said you get if you get any less drop than cow chippers, just get mustache bars. Like I said, when I rode Otis's Gunner and I made a video about it, and he had those uh, really sweepy carbon bars, I really liked them. I was surprised because I am like totally a drop bar guy. Um, Dragonhead, you said you just want something that doesn't have a billion miles on it. Well, that's why you get Shimano because it still works with a million miles on it. Just kidding. Yeah, microshift. I think if you're looking to save some money, like and have something that's functional. Again, they have a bunch of different levels of stuff that I'm not enough familiar with to tell you what, but do some research on some different microshift group sets. I think I don't know their naming schemes or anything, so I have one 8-speed microshift group set, uh, but I see a lot of the bikes now, even decent bikes, that reasonably decent bike frames coming with that stuff because people can't get Shimano, right? Oh, Yonda said Erin has cowbells on her bike. Hey, what's up, Mono Lake? I definitely know you from the comment section on the videos. You're in San Jose, enjoying a beer and a Sammy. Index bar ends too. Yeah, it's the other thing I do like with like bar ends and like a lot of like Russ keeps saying friction, but a lot of the shifters he's talking about can be indexed if you want them to be. One of my points is like we ride a lot of gnarly, unpredictable stuff, like doing our exploring rides, or like say Large Marge has a route and we turn a corner and all of a sudden it's like a steep hill. Like Brifters, Shimano STIs, or your SRAM levers, whatever they may be, like that's a big deal in those cases. It's the difference between putting a foot down and not putting a foot down. And if there's people behind you stopping up everybody else, like to be able to swing through a bunch of gears, another reason I like doubles, but brifters in general, even if you're running one by, I mean, you could still click it enough times to drop down gears right at where your hands already are. Like, I know cross bikes used to have bar ends and blah, blah, blah. You could get good at friction. I used to ride off road with down tube friction shifters and I survived, but there's a reason brifters are the dominant shifting system because it makes total sense. They're the most functional. They make total sense. So, I remember on New Year's one year, I had a friend over, and I still mostly rode vintage bikes, and I had just put 9-speed Shimano on an early 80s Trek, and he looked at the brifters, the STI levers, and he was like, our friend Ryan Berge, and he was like, once you get used to those, you're going to have a hard time going back to your friction bikes. And he's right. I still ride those other bikes, but just not nearly as often. So, see where we are in the comments. I'm sure my rants have dropped me way off the way behind. Oh, Yonda. So on the hybrid, you're talking about the Unicrown forks not being strong enough. My first Trek that got stolen, that was a hybrid, definitely did. Yeah, have a Unicrown fork. That's good to know. Dragonhead. Yeah, I know Russ has been making that point that the 11, 12 speed friction is pretty good because you're never between gears. I could see that. But, you know, even on 6 speed, my old 6 speed bikes, like you make a shift, you know, you start riding if it's a hill and you need to put some power down. And if you hear it, you get so good at reaching down and adjusting it. I get that point, and I'm sure it's true. But friction shifting anything once you get used to it isn't that hard, especially if it's road or flattish gravel. I think where indexing really matters is when you're riding much more gnarly stuff. You're mountain biking or you're exploring or you're just very serious. You're trying to do really fast climbing and you need to be able to shift gears. I remember when I rode down tube friction, I'd be going up a hill climb and I knew I wanted an easier gear, but I didn't want to take my hands off the bars, so you just stood up and pedaled harder. You really shift less when you run friction, that's for sure. I run friction on my winter bike on the front triple because the old shifter just got too worn out, but it's still indexed for the 8 speed in the back, which is really nice. Because most of the time on my winter bike, I'm just in the middle ring anyways. And if I need a really easy gear, it's really easy to shift down. Or if I am going fast enough, like it's not that snowy that I'm just going flat, um, you know. Hey Yonda, why would you say 11 to 12 speed friction blows? I tended to believe that what Russ was saying made sense and what Dragonhead said would make sense. Oh, he's saying the tiniest bump on the lever and it shifts. I could see that depending on where your levers are positioned. That could be a factor. So, Pudgy said specialized is OEMing, microshift. I've seen other ones at the shop too. Yeah. Oh, Yonda said Advent X. Yeah. Everyone is OMing that. Cannondale Salsa Surly GT trucks. Dylan said 12 speed friction with a microshift lever tightened down slightly so it won't get bumped is chill. You just set it to index because you couldn't react fast enough on single track. And yeah, and if you have ratcheting shifters, that shouldn't be as much of a problem either, right? So if you use like they have a ratcheting mechanism which gives a little more stopping. Like I don't know how to describe it. Well, you guys know what a ratchet feels like, so. Yanda, you need to type in a way that I could repeat your comments, but I guess everyone else could read them. So Dylan said the clutch on Advent is pretty bad. Yeah, diversity. We were talking about friction shifting, which is maybe making a comeback. Pathless Pedal is talking about it. I mean, a lot of people are very into them. And then, Rivendell has been behind friction shifting for a while, Grant Peterson, stuff like that. But yeah, and like I said, I'm not. I have friction bikes. It's just for doing the gnarly stuff. I'll take index brifters any day of the week. But people did it forever. Like I said, people were riding cyclocross with friction shifters, and everything else. But I don't think I ever had a friction off-road bike though, because even my hybrid, my first like bike I bought for myself in the late '90s, still had. I can't remember, but it still had like rapid fire Shimano shifting. Mono Lake has a vintage pair of campy cyclocross bar end shifters that you're waiting to use on the right build. Yeah. And new old stock campy hubs. Nice. I have vintage. Don't I? What do I? When I have a set of vintage down to campy levers? No, that bike didn't come. that was just a frame and it has campy decals on it. But Dylan, I'm reading all the comments. Sorry. But Dylan said, I wanted to try out wide range 9 speed. You like the idea of less gears, but still the same range for mountain bike because cadence doesn't matter. Yeah, I could see that because I do get used to the 11 speed on my gravel bike and being able to always have the cadence dialed, but I also ride that my gravel bike as a road bike. It's just got 42s on it, you know. So I ride it as this, especially this summer with my back and leg not feeling well. I don't want to be in any of my road bike positions this year. So definitely ride my gravel bike everywhere. And I do like the 11 speed cadence thing, but I used to run that bike with 9 speed and the same exact gearing, and it never bothered me. Um, but I definitely could see that for mountain biking, it wouldn't matter as much. Cheesy rider, you said you're a friction guy. Your thighs rub when you ride. Pudgy said 12 speed Dior is hard to beat for the money right now if you can find it. Yeah. So Dylan said he had the nicest version of Advent 9 speed, and it was the worst group set you ever had. Huh. I felt like I felt like that stuff was getting much better as they became more on the scene, but that's not from experience. That's just from what people were saying. Cheesy, you don't know what a friction shifter is. There's just no they don't click into gears. It's just think of it as like a sliding scale. You have to hit the gear. Like the shifters just whether they're, bar ends, you're just you're just moving a lever up and down. There's no stops. It just slides all the way from 11 to 34 and anywhere in between. It's not clicking anywhere. It's just a smooth motion. So friction is the only thing holding it. And they're called friction shifters because it's just friction of a bolt holding in the lever that is keeping it in gear. I have a bike where it's a little worn out on the seals, and I have to tighten it before almost every ride because it'll shift on its own if you don't. Yonda said you said you had 9 speed Durace friction with a XTR rear derailleur and Campy front derailleur, and it was great. You had micro shifters on before it, and got the Durace ones. You would never get that again. Yeah. See ya, Cosman. Now, friction is not for more for anything. It's just an older style that we're just talking about it because a big YouTube channel, Pathless Pedaled, has been talking about it lately. So if you get a bike, what year didn't Campy put out Index first in like what 84 or something? That's just a guess. Yonda might know this, but if you get a bike before the 80s, it's going to be friction. There was no other option. I think Campy invented down tube indexing, and then Shimano invented putting the index levers in your brakes. So I would guess most people these days who are under 40 have never ridden a friction bike. If you buy new stuff. Like you said, it's more for hipsters. Hipsters are cheap, are being cheap or trying just to build up like a cool something different, unique. Like I built up that old Peugeot. I wasn't going to buy expensive new levers for it. I just used the levers it came with, which is friction. So top tube friction shifters. Yonda said 9 speed Shimano was nice because it wasn't made like garbage. Yeah, I said I have 9 speed Shimano in 3 flavors, so more than that. But I have Ultegra Durace, which the Durace shifts better than brakes, even with just old school rim brakes better than any other bike I've ever had, and shifts like absolute butter. I have triple 9-speed, double 9-speed, 105, and the Altegra on the Marin, which I love too. So box components, huh? Jaybird, what's up? You said you're a fan of the classic 3x7 for all terrain. It works. Yeah. Closest I have to that is 3x8 on my old mountain bike, which is now my winter bike. That's 3x8 Shimano. Without without seeing it, I can't remember exactly what level of Shimano it is. It wouldn't be the top for sure, but plenty of gears. Works great. Works. Huh, Dylan. So I'm not familiar with box. 11 speed box, and you misspoke. That was the worst group set you ever had, huh? Hey, what's up, Dos Tacos? Uh, you ride down tube on two of your Treks. The front derailleur is friction. Yeah, all my down tube shifting bikes are friction. None of them are indexed, back and front. But like I said, when I was riding them all the time, you get so used to it. I said you will shift a little less in like precarious situations, but I mean, it becomes second nature. You hear a little noise, you reach down and readjust. If you hear the chain rubbing a tiny bit. Yeah, Dragon Head, or you're like you and you're broke and you buy old 70s and 80s road bikes and ride what you got, which is what I was doing. That's what, uh, it's all I had my old mountain bike and then I started buying old road bikes and yeah, just clean them up, put new cables on them, put new brake pads on them, and ride down tube friction shifting bikes. I've never used those thummy friction shifters. The friction I have is bar end, which I took off an old cyclocross bike and put on my winter bike, and down tube and top tube. So just all the ones that are real close and long, whether they're down tube or top tube friction. But no, yeah, never anything else. I've never used like the Gavin All setup that he uses on Pathless Pedal or the thummies. Pudgy, you said you want to rig up the Chinelli this winter to be a 2x1 with a rear SS tensioner. Would you guys remember when I was building the Marin and it was sitting there? Wasn't it sitting in a 3x1 setup as I was just kind of dry fitting things together? And Dylan made that joke, and it took me a minute. I'm like, oh yeah, I do have a bike sitting here that looks like it's 3x1. Never took it out on the road or finished building it when it looked like that though. Jaybird said there's a lot of emphasis on the new tech when it's really not as good as the old stuff. Plus, it's pricey. As much of a dude who likes retro stuff, it just depends on what level of old you're talking about. Like when I first started building up my old road bikes, and I was going to a bike shop that was down the road here, the mechanic there, who has all kinds of stuff, was like, any cheap new rear derailleur is better than any old nice rear derailleur, and he was talking about 70s and 80s. That was his opinion. And he was like, buy a cheap modern derailleur and put it on there. Your bike with friction will still even shift better than an old one. And if you do look, the tolerance on derailleurs are closer, and that rear pulley wheel is closer to the cassette, and that makes a shifting difference. But that being said, I love my 11-speed group set on my gravel bike, but I'll build stuff with whatever I could find and parts bin builds and cheap bikes for fun. So I'm on both sides of it, but I wouldn't say that all old stuff is not better than all new stuff, and all new stuff is not better than all old stuff. So it just really depends. There's a lot of garbage made in every era of cycling, you know, and always some companies that were doing good, innovative stuff too. So yeah, I'm just saying 12-speed chains last longer, even though they're smaller. Huh? Mono, like you're saying, Campy Chorus, you don't think it works as well as the Shimano stuff? Hmm. That's interesting, Yonda. I wouldn't have guessed that. I mean, I just thought as the chains get narrower and narrower, they were getting weaker and weaker. But then again, they're more modern, so maybe the parts of them are better. You know, the rollers are better and all that stuff. I have no idea. Dylan said he just replaced two 12-speed complete drivetrains after 2 years of pretty bad conditions. Yeah, those thummy shifters are interesting. Again, I think that depends on where you're going to place them, though. You know. And Yonda said 8.9 will still shift when it's totally beyond worn, which is why people think it lasts longer, but it's way past due. See, that don't you have to think that doesn't make sense though? If it still shifts fine, it's not past due because you put a tool on it, it says it's worn out. Like my Trek, if it still shifts fine and it's like an old ass chain and an old ass cassette, what's the problem? You know. So if it works, it's not worn out. To me, some right. I mean, I get if you have an expensive modern drive chain, you don't want worn parts wearing other parts that are all going to be more expensive and have to be replaced. But if everything's old and just works together still, then is it worn out? Pudgy said you feel like Russ runs stuff that's either obscure or something people argue about, basically his own flavor of clickbait. I think sometimes, yeah. I think sometimes, and I don't think he's doing that with his whole thing of going back to doubles, though. But again, I'm someone who runs doubles, so. Sam said 1-to-1 is the easiest setup. That's for sure. I live somewhere that's like I have one single speed, but it's really hilly around here, and there's rides I don't want to run a single speed. My knees don't have it in me anymore uh, to do that. That's a good point, Yonda. Shorter pins are stiffer and stronger. So if you have a narrower chain, the pins would be stiffer. I get that. Dylan said, I hope Russ doesn't obscure himself into decreasing popularity. He's done a lot of good for cycling, but he just reviews obscure stuff and doesn't make riding videos. Yeah. Again, though, I think the review stuff, you know, like reviewing new bags and stuff like that, that's very popular YouTube stuff, you know. Uh, like, talked about this, like, right now where I'm at on YouTube. If I make a video, like, of just us riding bikes, it's a 1,000 view video. If I make a video talking about a specific part, it's going to be triple, 4 times, 5 times more views than that. So that's right, Cheesy Rider. So what would be considered regular by today's standard are index shifters because your gears are indexed. Your shifters are indexed to your, gears. So those tacos, you just got a vintage Sugino crankset 5242. Can't wait to replace it with the off-brand crap you're running. Yeah, I think I have one of those sitting right here. No, this might be Shimano. Oh no, this is it's probably that same ratio. Oh, this is a 5339. How's that for a tough? I can't think of anything I'd want to run a 5339 on. This Shimano 500 EX. Oh, this must have come off my Schwinn Paramount. That would make sense because that's a total road bike. So yeah, 5339. Geez. Jaybird, you said 50 gear inches is a good ratio for single speed in hilly areas. 9-speed triple for waffles and coffee. Yeah, I mean, For probably about 2 years, that was probably the group set I was running the most on my 82 Trek with the Shimano 105 3x9. So I could vouch for it. I like it because that bike I was using as a touring bike and a pure road bike, and pushing it a little bit to some gravelly bits, and it just had the gears for everything. So is that what standard is, Yonda? So it's compact if you go to 5034. So 5339 is standard. Weren't they mostly 52s though? Like all my other road bikes, I think had like old road bikes had 52s. I don't remember having them with 53s, but maybe it just wasn't. Or it was already worn off or not printed as well as this one is. Diversity, you said most of this is over your head. Most of this would have been over my head a number of years ago, and a lot of it would have been before I started doing these live streams. I've learned so much from everybody in the chat over doing this. I started buying old bikes and building them and watching YouTube videos about it. But when it comes to the modern stuff, I've learned most of that from everybody else here in the chat. So, and looking stuff up when someone said something. Oh, Pudgy, you said if you get a vintage time trial bike, it'll take this crank. Yeah. Best looking cranks ever. Uh, Early '80s campy stuff. But one of the reasons I even like 9-speed Shimano is because it looks good on vintage. I mean, I it's not the main reason, but a reason that I do like how 9-speed Shimano 105 with silver derailleurs and the chainring still looking kind of classic. Not quite this classic, but pretty close though. Still look good on vintage bikes. So you guys are talking about best wheeled side for dirt riding. Wheel size depends on the bike. I have 700Cs on the bike that I'm going to ride on dirt, right? But, but I'm not opposed to 650B. And my old mountain bike is 26, and my Marin is 26. Those tacos, your easiest gear on your gravel bike is 52 or 4228. I'm someone who runs hard gears, and that is way too much for me. I would never get up half the hills we ride. The short, punchy stuff, I couldn't get up it on. Last night, riding up Everett in the dirt, we rode up out of the Cuyahoga Valley. They took out the road, and we rode where the roadbed was. They've taken all the asphalt out and stuff like that. And yeah, I would not have made it up on 4228. That's for sure. I need I definitely want 1-to-1 on my bikes now, like my off-road bikes. And if I built a new off-road bike, I would go less than that. I would have something even wider range. Just all depends on where you ride, though, or how tough you are, strong you are. I can't. I'm getting too old for running gears that hard. Even my Peugeot, like, I'm not going to go climbing crazy hills on that old bike now with a, you know, whatever that small gear in the back is. I have no idea on the 6-speed, but it can't be much. Cheesy rider, glad to see another friend. And here's the thing, like, this is a live stream talking about bikes, so of course it's going to spin off the nerdy side, but you don't need to know all about bikes to enjoy riding bikes or to be even like really into bikes. Like, I tend to dive deep into whatever I get into. Like, I just like to start learning everything I can about it, but there's no requirement. Like, I'm never going to ride with someone who doesn't understand like gear inches or friction and not like them because of that. I like people because of their personality and they like to ride bikes. When my weekly group ride started, I didn't know anything about it. I showed up on my old truck that still had a shock on the front, and it was my bike and it's what I rode. So, um, yeah, I hope no one thinks that. Like, I like to, I love to argue, and that's the point of like hanging out and it's all chatting and stuff like that about bike stuff. But yeah, at first it was like learning just enough so I could fix what was going wrong. Know how to change, know how to change a flat tube or tire. But that's the knowledge you have to have. You need to know how to change a flat tire. Shimano 600 cranks. Yeah. I have a really cool uh, chain ring on my Jeton. It's the Stronglight cranks. They have like a star pattern, and that's a really cool looking crank set. Uh, and then I have a Mavic here too. It doesn't have the rings on it anymore, but it was kind of cool. I used the rings for my single speed build, maybe. Yeah, this was a pretty good looking one. Let's see if I can get the focus. Yeah. Kind of cool with those little bevels in the center of the spider arms, if that's what you call those. Oh, this is a strong light also. This is strong light too. So I have a couple strong light crank sets. French stuff. Yeah, I still like this era Shimano also though. A lot of old 600 would look just like this. Why would people buy electric shifters? People like nice stuff. I've ridden that Gunner had electric shifting. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't spend the money on it though. Uh, Al said 7800 Dura Ace is your favorite looking crank set. Um, I have a 7800 Dura Ace crank set on my Schwinn. Oh, Jay Dandy, it's I guess on Everett, I guess it's more rideable than it was even a month ago. I know you went out and you said it wasn't very rideable. Ben and Large and Brad tried to ride it a little while ago, and they said it was tough. Last night you could ride around the creek bed. Um, they have like a path, so long as it hasn't rained a ton, you could ride down into the ravine and up. So, hey, what's up, Bob Darrow? You said you're trying to remove the word old from bike conversations. Dragonhead, you said you're an incorrigible tinkerer. You cannot fiddle with stuff and take stuff apart, so it's naturally what you got you really into bikes. Yeah, and that's what's kind of happened to me. Like in the winter, like summer and fall, late spring, summer, early fall riding season, and in the winter when it's dark, I just same thing. I started to like get bikes and just tinker with them down here. And now with the live stream, I have the tools here and the setup here, so I could tinker with stuff during the live streams, and you guys could all help me out. It's been great. That's how I've built like 3 or 4 bikes like that now, messing with them over the live streams and just giving myself something to do. I'm not super mechanically inclined, but I'm not a total like I have some understanding. I've worked a lot of manual jobs before I became a photographer, so. Yeah, to answer was that diversity's question about uh, who asked about electronic shifting, and Yonda said it just works really good. It does. It's not something I want to spend the money on or worry about batteries on my shifting or anything like that. Um, if SRAM called me up or sent me an email tomorrow saying we would love you to feature our electronic shifting on your YouTube channel, this is not going to happen. I, I would take it, but I'm not going to spend the money on it personally because I don't have a problem with mechanical indexed. But you know, the stuff does work really well. Plus, bike companies always have to come up with something new because if they don't, they're going to go out of business. So they have to get you to buy something that's newer. Yeah, cheesy rider. You don't know what you're missing. Yeah, same thing. Like when I was used to running friction, I didn't worry about it. It's just friction shifters are what I rode. And then I put a Brifters on a vintage bike, and I'm like, this is better. It's just better. Um, I also had favorite gravel tire, Reneer's Hurricane Ridge. That's all that will ever be on my Raleigh. Like I keep just replacing it with that. Tried a number of different tires, uh, Cannonballs, Terravale Cannonballs. I have some other gravel kings on other bikes, like my Marin. I can't stand how gravel kings throw the stones, though. I ride too many crushed limestone and cinder trails, and they clog up when it's like kind of muddy. Yeah, yeah. Reneers makes the best gravel tires. Uh, they're fast on the road. They have traction for the off road. They're quiet. They're supple. Yonda said Reneers Fleecer Ridge. Yeah, and Ultra Dynamicos. I haven't run them, but I have a lot of friends who run Ultra Dynamicos. So yeah, Jaybird. Like I said, Gravel Kings. My problem with I'm looking at 3 bikes with Gravel Kings on them right now, so I'm not anti-gravel. I ride too much crushed stone for Gravel Kings. It's really annoying. They just fling stones everywhere, and you don't want to ever ride behind someone on those trails who's running Gravel Kings. So yeah, Panaracer makes Gravel Kings. Panaracer makes Reneers and Ultra Dynamicos as well. I mean, but they don't design them. But Panaracer designs and makes Gravel Kings. So what's the one you guys were talking about? Pirelli wasn't not Pirelli. What are the ones you were looking into? Large Marge, if you're still awake. There was a gravel tire. Maybe I thought you were talking to Dylan about that you guys really liked. Yeah, I guess that same thing. I don't, you know, don't I found the tire that I like. I'm gonna stick with Reneers, but I buy plenty of Ron's stuff, like the outside of his tire business, like the bandana I'm wearing and his caps, and go to his events. So, yeah, I think he's a cool dude and support him in different ways. So, oh, SimWorks, yeah. Are SimWorks just Panaracer designs? Oh no, there he is. Lar just said the Soma Cazadero. I knew he was talking about a different tire for a while there, and I couldn't remember what it was. Who was asking about for a vintage gravel build? Yeah, I do think you know gravel kings are good tires if you don't have my condition of always being on trails that they're annoying on, but and they're much more affordable. You know, Ultra Dynamicos and Renaers are expensive tires, and only more expensive, because aren't the Renaers almost $100 a piece now? Yeah, yeah, most of my bikes have different tires, but I only have a few bikes that are truly legitimate for off-road. So cheesy rider. That's why I like Renaers, because I think they're fast on the road, and they're really grippy off-road. That's why they're my favorite tires. All right, guys, I could barely keep my eyes open. You guys did a good job of keeping me on longer by bringing up Shimano, though. We still got into it. All right. Yeah, I'm going directly to bed. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Fun conversation. Didn't even take a break tonight. Just talked straight through. So I guess because it's been a while. But I think next Tuesday, I don't, it depends if I go out riding or something, if the weather's nice. But nothing on the calendar next Tuesday or Thursdays as of yet. So see what happens. But plan on a live stream next Tuesday. Nothing else particularly in the work. Like I said, members video hopefully tomorrow, if not over the weekend. But all right, guys, that's about it for now. And yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Cause
Yeah.
this not
Fitzwater photo.